And you, in your article, you described three tenets that should shape U.S. strategic and operational thinking. Let's talk about those. What are they?
Yeah, the first is, we talk about the danger of mirroring when it comes to how an adversary is anticipated to react to something or how they're going to act. The Chinese Communist Party and the plan is not the U.S. government and the U.S. Navy. With that in mind, I think we need to take a broader strategic approach to avoiding mirroring and refuse to respond to the CCP's objectives for war termination and for what their objectives actually are. The second they start putting American ships on the bottom outside of the immediate vicinity of Taiwan, this is a global conflict. So control of Taiwan at that point becomes not incidental, but not ultimately determinative as to whether or not we should stop fighting. Additionally, we value platforms differently. As a guy who spent a good part of my career on aircraft carriers, American aircraft carriers are really important to the U.S. Navy. I don't think that they have the same reciprocal value to the People's Liberation Army Navy. So we need to make sure that when we're looking at targeting, we are looking through the lens of how does this link to an objective that we need to secure, not just, hey, what do we value as a U.S. military or U.S. Navy? Second, we need to reject what is probably the most likely factor for war termination on the part of the CCP, which is, hey, they have sufficient forces ashore Taiwan, they have sufficient control in some sector of Taiwan, time to call the Americans to the negotiating table. It's like, no. The second you killed Americans, this conflict broadened. The second you started sending long-range missiles against U.S. allies in their home territories, this conflict broadened. And you don't get to determine when it stops. Third and finally, we need to establish very, very clear expectations for what strike execution looks like in terms of civilian casualties and fratricide, which we don't have a frame of reference absent World War II for war on the scale as proposed in the Phase 3 scenario. It is not going to be sterile. It is not going to be clean. We are not going to have time to have loitering assets over target areas that can clearly determine between friendly forces, enemy forces, and civilians. And that is going to be a significant mindset shift that we need to accept, because we are going to, in the execution of this war, we're going to have fratricide incidents. There's going to be civcas incidents. And that is something we need to prepare our forces and our commanders for, and the American public and the American government for as well.